You've tuned in to another edition of The Break Room, a weekly conversation about how the City of St. Augustine works from those who do the work every day. Hosted by the City of St. Augustine's Communications Director, Melissa Whistle, The Break Room offers a closer look at the different city departments and provides updates on current and upcoming projects and events. And now your host, Melissa Whistle.
Welcome to The Break Room. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. This week we are talking about historic preservation with Jenny Wolf, the city's Historic Preservation Officer. Jenny, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me.
We usually have you come by during Historic Preservation Month, which is in May, but you have quite a lot going on, so I figured let's have you come back and talk to us again.
Thank you.
We
do have lots to talk about.
I love having you in the break room. So let's start. I didn't mean to cut you off. Let's start with your recent recognition by the Florida Trust for Historic Preservation. Actually, two recognitions.
Yes. We had an exciting time at our conference that was held in July. It was called Preservation on Main Street, Reimagining the Road Ahead. And at our annual conference, we always, the Florida Trust gives out awards. And like many other years, the City of St. Augustine applied in a couple of categories and were recognized thanks to some great projects that we had great consulting teams working on with us. So if we want to talk about what those awards are, I brought these plaques to show you how pretty they are. But it is an honor to be recognized, especially at the ceremony where you have the Secretary of State there, Laurel Lee, actually reading out the candidates and doing the photo opportunities. So the city was recognized for relocating the Meldrum Cottage, which we all know happened over the period of a year or two, with the Florida Agricultural Museum. And then we also had the Resilient Heritage publication, which I've been on here to talk about before. So you can go online at our city website, citystagog.com, Resilient Heritage, to actually see that. But we were given an award in the Resilient category for that. And with our team was Taylor Engineering, Marquis, Latimer, and Hallback, City of St. Augustine, obviously the Craig Group, and Place Economics, and Archaeological Consultants, Inc. So that was a
lot
really
of
fun
work.
team.
That was a big project.
It was. And we've got this great resource now that we've already started diving into.
I want to just mention the Meldrum Cottage. If people are going, what was the Meldrum Cottage again? Can you go back with that and just recap, remind folks, and what came out of relocating the Meldrum Cottage? Right.
So where we were starting at was this property on Coquina Avenue, and it was this 1940s vernacular house that sat there. Unfortunately, after Hurricane Matthew and Irma, it was just falling into a state of no one was there to care for it. And the city saw an opportunity to both create a park and create some resiliency in the neighborhood that would complete or contribute to other projects going on. And so the city put out a request to say, hey, we kind of need to move this house so we can do this. And we ended up finding a partner in the Florida Agricultural Museum. They moved it over the bridges, down the highways, and it's there ready to be adapted to a new use. And they're going to interpret for the turpentine industry because it's associated with the Meldrum family, who's donated some conservation easements to the county and the state for conservation. So
it touches on a lot of...
It does.
Yeah. And do we know if it's ready yet at the Ag Museum?
It is not.
Okay.
They have, of course, like everyone else, experienced COVID setbacks and their schedules. So that's not quite ready, but it is there, and it's in a state where it's stable.
Wonderful. And so in this Florida Trust for Historic Preservation, it's a nonprofit, it's an organization, it has a board.
It does. It is a statewide nonprofit that protects Florida's unique history and heritage. And I was just elected as president of the Board of Trustees.
Congratulations. And
thank you.
That's a huge honor. It's a huge honor to be president, but it doesn't come with having had some time invested in the board. What's your background with working with Florida Trust?
I have. I've been there for 7 years on the board, initially coming in after the conference. The statewide conference was held in St. Augustine in 2013, which was just a couple years after I got here to be working for the city. And then in 2014, I was nominated to the board and eventually would serve as secretary, eventually as vice president, now as president, also doing a lot of committee work with the various projects that we have to undertake, like putting on the conference,
Right.
like doing awards. Those things take work of all of our volunteers to do that.
And it's a 2-year term?
It is a
And
2-year term.
So it'll start
It started.
this year? Okay.
It started, yep, at our
Okay.
Newport Richey conference.
Great.
And then next year, our conference is in DeLand. So those are kind of signal events that we do for our entire membership. But in the meantime, my goals with the Florida Trust are to be working on advancing our 11 to Save properties.
right.
Just making sure that we're kind of taking them to the next level. And then also continuing the work of our regional councils, which we've started last year. And it's been picking up. Again, during COVID, we're not able to always get together. But we're trying to keep together and keep our regional activities engaged.
And the 11 to Save, that's local?
It's statewide.
Oh, statewide. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
If you're just now tuning in, you're listening to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. Today in studio, I'm talking with Jenny Wolf, the city's Historic Preservation Officer, about some recent recognitions. She's just been appointed to the Florida Trust for Historic Preservation Board as president. But it doesn't stop there. You keep busy locally within our city, and you still have more things coming up.
We have a lot going on. It feels like we're doing another preservation month in September.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with that, especially since we have a lot to celebrate.
And one of my favorite projects that we've been talking about for a long time is the Waterworks building. You've got yet another fun activity for the Waterworks building.
We do.
Okay.
We're excited to announce that we're going to be having an open house.
Okay.
And we're going to be doing that on Tuesday, September 14th.
Okay.
Stay tuned. We'll post more details about what's going to happen. But it's essentially an appreciation day, opportunity for the general public to come in and celebrate the work that's been done with all of the 3 grant projects that started in 2013.
Wow.
And I'm excited to say that we're going to have the floors refinished, historic tile repaired, the historic plaster redone. And as a result of preparing for the open house, we've discovered some new photos, which we'll share with everyone. But one came in from the St. Augustine Art Association that shows the west side of the building.
Okay.
And really about how it was a part of a park area. And it was, in fact, called at one point the Davenport Park Clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
So after it was a Waterworks pumping station, it did have some other names coming to it, other uses. And we're looking forward to that new use coming in.
So we won't need to be as concerned about all the dust and the unsafe terrain. When last couple of open houses, we had little caveats in the press release and in the flyers: wear closed-toed shoes, wear comfortable clothing, not just because it was
AC.
hot. But so, are we ready? Are we really going to see sort of this almost finished product?
Yes, we are. We've got an addition that's got 3 restrooms in it. We've got full AC. We've got an ADA lift.
Wow.
And the chain link fences will be coming down. It's going to be gorgeous.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm really excited to hear that. I wasn't quite sure when we started our interview today what the final word was going to be on it.
Yeah.
Is the stage intact?
It is.
So there's...
So underneath the stage, which we have some historic photos when it was the Little Theater. There's some photos that were donated by Tom Rayner showing us what it was like when it was a theater. And all of that's been removed so that we can see the whole stage surface that was originally from the 1898 plans. It had the hexagonal concrete tiles.
Right.
So all of those are still there. They're intact. And that is the new stage floor. It's actually not the new. It's the original platform of that floor.
So it could be used as some form of a stage or elevated for a purpose.
For talking workshops, for any types of presentations. We might be during the open house running some photo slideshows in the background, but that's going to be a great backdrop for that to take place.
And so to ask the next obvious question, we say it could be. What happens to the building now? What do we use it? The city? Does someone come in? Does a neighborhood association use it? What's the next purpose for it?
We're talking about that right now, actually. So we'll be excited to report some updates by the time we get to the open house.
Okay.
But the city administration has been talking to the county to see if there's opportunities for any partnership at the county level, or considering putting out a public request for proposals where the city commission will evaluate proposals based upon a set of priorities that they've said they want the building to be used for, which we already know based on public surveys from the past couple years that there's a strong interest in seeing it being used for some type of community center and for some type of concession to be available to really make this a centerpiece of the entire park, where we have the armory. We used to have the carousel, but we still have the kids park. We still have the library. So it's a great public space, and it's also right across from that lovely new intersection that we all love.
Yeah.
But we'll tie it all together.
But you're right. That section, that area of town, they have their own. There is a community up there of North City and Fullerwood, Nelmar, all of that area. So
it really is our neighborhoods.
I look forward to seeing what we end up doing with it, or what gets put in there, how it gets put to use. It's a beautiful building, and if you haven't seen it, I would recommend put that date on your calendar, September 14th. Keep an eye out for the details of when you can come out and check it out. But not only we have Waterworks, you do a lot of workshops.
Yes.
And you've got more workshops coming up.
People might get a little overwhelmed with the amount of workshops, but then we can't be told we weren't trying to get community feedback, which is something in historic preservation and heritage conservation we really try earnestly to do, because it is about the people and how they want to guide us to our future goals. So with the city's goals being authenticity and livability and vitality, we're working to update the architectural guidelines for historic preservation. And essentially, the content basically stops at 1940. For historic preservation purposes, we're missing the whole mid-century period. We're missing the real talk about solar panels, composite or substitute building materials. So we're going to have some public workshops talking about the updates that we would like to do and see where the community wants us to go with that.
And this affects everyone? Does it affect home ages of a certain homes built in a certain age bracket? Are there pockets of this community that are affected most? How does that?
It's twofold, really, because we have part of our guidelines only affects architectural review in our HP zoning districts. So if your zoning is HP 1, HP 2, 3, 4, or 5, you are stuck to some pretty, not strict guidelines, but they're architectural review for anything that happens on the exterior.
And that's a lot of downtown.
Right. That's what we think of the downtown. It's about 300 or 400 properties. Whereas we have historic buildings or buildings that are older, which are anything 50 years old and older, everywhere in the city. And our demolition review ordinance applies to all of those buildings. And one of the things we're trying to do is figure out if we can kind of fine-tune our partial demolition ordinance that would relate to all of those buildings throughout the city, which also could include giving HARB some design review authority to those buildings that have partial demolition. So it could affect you if you have a building 50 years old or older.
Which is like 1970-ish, and you want to redo your porch.
Yes, exactly. Right now, just the way the code is right now, if you want to take off your porch and your house is 1970, no matter where it is in the city, you have to go to HARB.
So you're trying to make it a little easier on those folks.
Yes.
Not harder.
We want to say, look, when it comes to partial demolition, there's only a certain amount of properties that are really significant. And I would say that those are our core National Register districts. We're talking about 20% of the buildings, of the city's building inventory, not the entire city, like it is right now.
Wow.
So
stay tuned.
Yes.
So we've got workshops.
We do have a workshop. You can put on your calendar right now, September 11th at 10 a.m. We're going to be working with the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions. And then on Tuesday, the end of September, I think it's the 28th, we're going to be doing a virtual workshop. So you can either attend at all or both. We're also going to be doing public surveys. There's going to be multiple ways to get involved.
And we'll put all of this out on the website. We'll put it on social.
I'm counting on you to do it.
That's our job. Well, that is a lot of stuff coming up for historic preservation. We are out of time. it goes so quickly. I love it when you come by. I just love sitting and talking and listening to all the great things that you're heading up for the city, and you keep us looking good.
Thanks for asking. Happy to be here.
As we wrap up another edition of The Break Room, if you missed part of this broadcast and you want to go back and listen from the beginning, or if you would like to listen to past interviews, you can find us on the web at citysainagradio.com. Remember that in order to stay connected, you need to be connected. Be sure to like us and follow us on our social media platforms. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City St. Aug. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.
You've been listening to The Break Room, a weekly program addressing projects and programs offered by the City of St. Augustine. Join us each week as the city's communications director, Melissa Whistle, has in-depth conversations with the people who make our town work to meet the needs of our community. The Break Room is produced by communications specialist for the City of St. Augustine, Cindy Walker, and engineer by Flagler College communication major, Anne Marie Gresham. See you at this time next week for another edition of The Break Room.